What if your everyday map app hid secrets no one could explain? At first glance, Google Earth seems like a harmless tool, an interactive globe that lets you zoom into any street, any coastline, any forgotten alleyway across the planet. But as millions of users began to explore the most remote corners of Earth through satellite imagery, a chilling pattern began to emerge. The world, it turns out, is filled with secrets. Some are strange. Some are disturbing. And a few are so mysterious that no amount of logic can explain them away. Google Earth was originally designed to provide accessible global navigation. But as it evolved, it became much more than that. It turned into a global eye, an archive of the planet's visible past and present, from weather-worn ruins to forbidden zones, and even locations that governments would rather you not see. With its high-resolution imagery, it allows anyone, anywhere, to uncover lost cities, hidden military complexes, unexplained patterns in the desert, and even things that don't seem to belong on Earth at all. Across forums, Reddit threads, and YouTube comment sections, users have shared screen captures of eerie sightings, massive symbols carved into the sand, figures that seem to be watching from the shadows, ghost towns perfectly preserved, and aircraft graveyards stretching for miles. Some discoveries suggest the presence of forgotten civilizations. Others hint at top-secret experiments. A few, honestly, just raise more questions than answers. As we dive into this collection of creepy things caught on Google Earth, expect to come face to face with images that look like they were pulled from a science fiction film. You'll encounter supposed UFO crash sites, abandoned amusement parks frozen in time, and strange geometric shapes that stretch for miles with no known purpose. And while some of these discoveries have official explanations, others remain open to speculation, fueling conspiracy theories, internet legends, and a global fascination with what might be hiding in plain sight. Of course, it's important to acknowledge that satellite images can sometimes play tricks on the eyes. Shadows, pixels, and natural formations might appear more ominous than they really are. But sometimes, they're exactly as strange as they seem. Let's begin our journey across the strangest corners of the world, and explore the top 10 creepiest things ever discovered on Google Earth. Secret 10, the Blood Lake of Iraq. The Red Mystery of Sadr City. In the sprawling urban landscape of Baghdad's Sadr City district, a small lake quietly changed color one day, and the world took notice. When users of Google Earth zoomed in on this particular body of water in 2007, they were greeted with a shocking sight. The lake had turned a deep, unsettling shade of red, so vivid that it looked like something out of a horror film. The image began circulating across internet forums and social media platforms, quickly becoming one of the most talked about strange finds on Google Earth. What made the Blood Lake in Iraq so disturbing wasn't just its unnatural color, but its timing and location. Sadr City had seen years of conflict, political unrest, and violence. So when the image appeared on satellite maps, the immediate assumption by many was chilling. Was this red hue the result of blood? Was this a mass dumping ground, or something far worse? As more people examined the coordinates, the rumors took on a life of their own. Theories behind the crimson water. The lake's color wasn't subtle. It was striking, almost too perfect in its redness. This led many to suspect something sinister. Could it be industrial waste? Could the vibrant red be caused by the illegal disposal of slaughterhouse remains? Iraq has a number of slaughterhouses and meat processing facilities, and without proper waste treatment systems, some of them have reportedly dumped blood and animal byproducts into nearby waterways. However, no official report or scientific investigation was ever released to confirm these suspicions. In the absence of answers, more grounded explanations began to surface. Some biologists suggested that the lake's transformation might be due to a natural phenomenon, specifically, the presence of red algae blooms or high concentrations of salt-loving microorganisms. In certain conditions, microorganisms like Dunaliella salina or halobacteria can thrive in extreme environments, turning water bodies various shades of red, pink, or even purple. Comparing global blood red lake, this phenomenon isn't exclusive to Iraq. Around the world, there are other lakes that have been known to shift in color under specific conditions. Australia's Lake Hillier is famously bubblegum pink due to similar microbial activity. Senegal's Lake Retba has also turned red during dry seasons, when salt levels rise and promote blooms of Dunaliella salina. In both cases, the science is well understood and documented. But in the case of Iraq's Blood Lake, the lack of investigation leaves its cause in a murky zone between environmental science and urban legend. The contrast between confirmed cases and Iraq's unexplained red water fuels its place among the creepiest images ever found on Google Earth. While microbial blooms might be a plausible explanation, the silence from officials and the haunting visual of red water in a war-torn region gives it a much darker atmosphere. Nature or something more sinister? Despite the widespread attention the Blood Lake of Iraq received, the image was eventually updated, and the red coloration vanished. Newer satellite views show the lake in a more typical murky brown, like countless other stagnant bodies of water in the region. But the memory of that original, blood-red snapshot lives on. It still appears in listicles, paranormal forums, and conspiracy theory channels to this day. Whether the Blood Lake was a result of chemical dumping, biological activity, or something more unsettling, it holds its place in internet folklore as one of the eeriest Google Earth sightings ever documented. And what makes it especially unnerving is that, to this day, no one has provided a definitive answer. This is the kind of image that makes you question just how much the satellite sees, and how much of it we're actually allowed to understand. Secret 9, the desert glyphs of Kazakhstan. A forgotten code in the steppe. Deep in the windswept plains of northern Kazakhstan, something ancient and colossal is carved into the earth, something that went unnoticed by the human eye for thousands of years. Hidden in the Turgai region, these formations are known as the Turgai geoglyphs. Over 260 of them, scattered across the desert, etched into the land with deliberate, geometric precision. From above, they form patterns that are immediately arresting, massive crosses, concentric circles, squares, and one that has drawn both awe and controversy, a swastika-like symbol that predates any known ideology. These geoglyphs are impossible to recognize from the ground. They span hundreds of feet in diameter and are only visible in full from the sky. For centuries, they were completely forgotten by civilization, blending into the vast steppe as little more than hills and soil mounds. It wasn't until a Kazakh schoolteacher named Dmitry Day began combing through satellite images on Google Earth in 2007 that the world rediscovered them. What started as a hobby, searching for archaeological anomalies, quickly turned into one of the most significant finds in modern digital archaeology. The shapes that defy time. Among the most striking of these formations is the so-called Nazca-like swastika, a symmetrical pattern resembling the ancient Hindu and Buddhist symbol of well-being, but eerily evocative of darker 20th century associations. Nearby, there are perfectly aligned rings that stretch across acres, dotted square formations, and a wheel with radiating spokes, similar in form to the famous Nazca lines of Peru. Yet these symbols were not etched into stone or sand. They were made using timber, stones, and carefully placed mounds of earth. In some places, they rise several feet from the ground, revealing their artificial origins to anyone who dares to look closely. What makes these glyphs especially mysterious is their age. Carbon dating conducted by archaeologists suggests that many of them are over 8,000 years old. That predates the Egyptian pyramids, Stonehenge, and even the earliest written languages. Some researchers believe the Turgai geoglyphs could have been built by the Mahanzar culture, a prehistoric civilization that left few traces behind aside from primitive tools and burial sites. But nothing previously linked him to construction projects on this scale. Theories and speculation. The existence of these symbols has ignited a flurry of theories. Some suggest they were astronomical calendars, aligned with celestial bodies to mark solstices and equinoxes. Others believe they were ritual grounds, meant for spiritual ceremonies conducted by ancient tribes who viewed the earth and sky as interconnected realms. And, as with all massive, unexplained formations seen best from above, there are whispers of more fantastic ideas, claims that these were markers for alien visitors, navigation aids for extraterrestrial crafts, or remnants of a lost advanced civilization whose memory has eroded from history. Skeptics argue that the symbols are simply artistic expressions of ancient humans experimenting with land art, but they struggle to explain the scale, effort, and mathematical precision involved. Some glyphs span over 1,000 feet in diameter. That kind of labor-intensive construction would have required coordinated planning and a societal structure capable of organizing such projects. A puzzle in plain sight. Despite the growing academic interest, the Turgai glyphs remain relatively obscure outside archaeological circles. They are not protected heritage sites. There are no tour buses lining up to view them. Their preservation relies mostly on digital documentation, making Google Earth not just the means of their rediscovery, but also the archive that keeps them alive in modern consciousness. The Turgai geoglyphs stand as a testament to how much we still don't know about ancient human history. Carved into one of the least populated regions of the world, they ask a question that echoes louder than any theory: why? What compelled a prehistoric civilization to craft enormous shapes only visible from the sky, a sky they had no means of reaching? Perhaps the glyphs were meant for gods, ancestors, or beings from beyond the stars. Or perhaps they were messages written in the only canvas early humans had, the earth itself. Whatever the truth may be, these haunting symbols in the Kazakh desert remain one of the most mind-bending discoveries ever captured by Google Earth. Secret 8, the Shipwreck of SS Jassim. A silent giant beneath the waves. Off the remote coast of Sudan, near the shallow reefs of the Red Sea, lies one of the most striking maritime graves ever captured by satellite. The SS Jassim, a Bolivian cargo ferry, ran aground in 2003. For most shipwrecks, time and tide erase the evidence. But not here. The wreck of the SS Jassim remains hauntingly preserved in crystal clear waters, its full form visible to anyone who happens to zoom in on the right set of coordinates using Google Earth. What makes this shipwreck especially unique is its clarity. The skeleton of the vessel appears as a ghostly outline, almost too perfect to be real. Its massive hull rests in shallow waters close enough to the surface that even the rusted deck structures cast shadows onto the seafloor. On satellite images, it almost looks like the ship is still trying to make its journey, frozen in a moment of tragic failure. This is not just any wreck. The SS Jassim is one of the largest and most visually accessible shipwrecks ever caught on Google Earth. Maritime history buffs, digital explorers, and online sleuths quickly picked up on the eerie sight, sharing screenshots across forums and blogs. Its lonely presence, untouched and decaying in a forgotten stretch of sea, tells a story without needing a single word. The story behind the ship. The SS Jassim was originally a Bolivian ferry operating as a cargo vessel in the early 2000s. During a routine trip near Sudanese waters in 2003, the ship ran aground under circumstances that were never fully disclosed. No large storm had been reported. No distress calls went viral. The ship simply appeared where it shouldn't have been, wedged in a shallow reef, abandoned and defeated. Over time, the story of how it got there became secondary to the image itself. There's something about the silent decay of a modern machine that stirs the imagination. In many ways, the wreck of the SS Jassim echoes a familiar maritime motif, a ghost ship left to rot beneath the waves, slowly being reclaimed by nature. According to UNESCO, there are over 3 million shipwrecks scattered across the oceans of the world. But only a fraction of those are clearly visible via satellite. Most are too deep, too obscured, or too eroded to make an impact. The SS Jassim, however, sits in perfect contrast, its silhouette crisp against the turquoise sea, a tragic monument easily found with a few clicks. Why wrecks fascinated? Shipwrecks tap into a very specific part of the human psyche. They are symbols of both ambition and defeat, of technological progress halted in its tracks. There's a romance to their tragedy, a poetry in their decay. They remind us of the ocean's power, and of how fragile even our most advanced creations can be. Perhaps it's this duality that makes the SS Jassim so gripping. It is not just a hunk of rusting metal. It's a time capsule, locked in the moment its journey failed. Unlike shipwrecks like the Titanic, deep and unreachable, the SS Jassim lies in plain sight, available for the entire world to witness without diving gear or historical clearance. For some, the ship represents a modern-day Titanic, though much smaller and without the dramatic loss of life. For others, it's a relic of forgotten trade routes and economic transitions, a ghost of globalization left stranded in African waters. And for many, it's simply a beautiful, haunting image, one of the most compelling examples of the strange and unexpected things you can stumble across on Google Earth. It's not just a shipwreck. It's a mystery, a symbol, and a reminder that sometimes, the most haunting sights aren't hidden, they're just waiting to be seen from above. Secret 7, the abandoned town of Pripyat, Ukraine. A city trapped in a moment. Just outside the Chernobyl nuclear power plant lies a city that time forgot. Pripyat, Ukraine, once a bustling home to nearly 50,000 residents, is now one of the most eerily preserved ghost towns in the world. Through the lens of Google Earth, it becomes something else entirely, a frozen snapshot of human life interrupted, with empty schools, deserted hospitals, crumbling apartment blocks, and the now iconic Ferris wheel standing still beneath the rusting skies. Zooming in from above, the scale of abandonment becomes hauntingly clear. Streets are overrun by vegetation. Parking lots are filled with ghostly outlines of long-gone vehicles. The amusement park, scheduled to open just days after the explosion, remains eerily intact. This is not just a ruined city. It's a time capsule, one that digital explorers from across the globe can visit without ever setting foot in the radioactive exclusion zone. The disaster that changed everything. The Chernobyl disaster occurred on April 26, 1986, when reactor number 4 at the power plant exploded during a late-night safety test gone wrong. The resulting fire released a cloud of radioactive material into the atmosphere, spreading across Europe and becoming one of the worst nuclear accidents in human history. Over 116,000 people were permanently evacuated, with Pripyat being the most affected due to its proximity, just 3 kilometers from the plant. The scale of contamination was massive. Today, radiation levels within the exclusion zone vary greatly, with some hotspots still deemed too dangerous for prolonged exposure. Yet on Google Earth, visitors can overlay radiation maps directly onto the terrain. These overlays display real-time readings, showing red zones near the reactor and relatively safer regions further out. The digital platform turns Chernobyl into an interactive learning space, combining historical weight with present-day data. A tale of two cities, Pripyat and Fukushima. But when the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear disaster struck Japan in 2011, comparisons to Chernobyl were immediate. Though the events differed in nature, Fukushima was triggered by a tsunami, Chernobyl by human error, both left behind eerily deserted regions. On Google Earth, satellite views of Fukushima's exclusion zones reveal similar patterns of urban stillness. Streets are empty. Buildings are untouched, yet lifeless. Overgrown vegetation creeps through cracked asphalt, just like in Pripyat. But the key difference lies in recovery efforts. Japan has been aggressively decontaminating and resettling areas surrounding Fukushima. In contrast, Pripyat remains largely untouched, both by design and necessity. The sheer level of radioactive isotopes in the soil and structures has made long-term habitation unfeasible for the foreseeable future. Exploring the abandoned digitally. The rise of digital urban exploration has given Pripyat new life, not through its streets, but through screens. Dubbed dark tourism, the fascination with post-disaster zones has created a massive online following. With Google Earth's high-resolution imagery, users can virtually explore rooftops, peer into building layouts, and track the overgrowth of nature as it slowly reclaims the city. Virtual tourism blogs and YouTube channels regularly highlight the town's haunting beauty, fueled by a desire to witness history's aftermath. There's a certain stillness to Pripyat that transcends imagery. On satellite view, it becomes more than an abandoned place, it becomes a symbol. You can zoom in on a child's bicycle lying rusted outside a school. You can trace the path from someone's home to the amusement park they never got to enjoy. The emotional weight is almost physical, despite the distance of time and space. A haunting from above. Pripyat on Google Earth is not just a visual curiosity. It's a digital grave marker, a testament to both human achievement and human failure. While its buildings decay in silence, its story lives on through every search, every zoom, and every virtual visit. It invites reflection on power, risk, and the fragility of civilization. And in doing so, it earns its place as one of the most chilling locations ever discovered, not just on Earth. Secret 6, the giant pentagram in Kazakhstan, and a star in the steppe. In the remote northern region of Kazakhstan, not far from the small industrial town of Lysakovsky, an enormous star lies etched into the earth. Spanning nearly 1,200 feet in diameter, this geometric figure stunned Google Earth users when it first surfaced in online discussions. From above, it appears unmistakable. A five-pointed star enclosed in a circle, the classic shape of a pentagram, carved with unsettling precision into the dry grassland. At first glance, the image is jarring. The lines are sharp. The contrast is clear. It doesn't look like a natural formation or a random clearing. Instead, it seems intentional, almost ritualistic. For those stumbling upon it through casual exploration or YouTube deep dives, the site raises immediate questions. Why is there a massive pentagram in the middle of nowhere? Who put it there? And what does it mean? Fueling the fire of conspiracy. It didn't take long for the internet to react. The symbol itself, associated by many with occult rituals, secret societies, and satanic imagery, was enough to spark countless theories. Some claimed it was a long-abandoned ritual site. Others speculated that it marked the location of a secret underground military facility, a Cold War relic still hidden beneath the Kazakh steppe. A few more imaginative users even suggested alien involvement, interpreting the precise geometry and isolation of the symbol as evidence of extraterrestrial design. The eerie clarity of the pentagram on satellite imagery only added fuel to the fire. The shadows from the carved paths enhanced its depth, making it feel as though the star were branded into the land rather than built upon it. In the minds of many, this wasn't just a strange pattern, it was a message, or worse, a warning. A more earthly explanation. But as is often the case with mysterious satellite images, the truth behind the pentagram is far more mundane, though no less fascinating. Local historians and residents were quick to point out that the area was once part of a Soviet-era recreational park. During the mid-20th century, star-shaped designs were commonly used in the Soviet Union as symbols of unity and power. In this particular case, the pentagram was created as part of a park layout, its 5 points formed by walking trails lined with trees. The outline became visible not because of any sinister origin, but because of how the trees and paths aged and weathered over time. The surrounding terrain, devoid of large structures or interfering developments, allowed the image to remain crisp and easily distinguishable from space. It was a Soviet design, not a satanic one. Still, the image continues to evoke discomfort, largely due to how strongly it resembles something more ominous. Seeing shapes in shadow. This brings us to an important psychological phenomenon, pareidolia. It's the brain's tendency to recognize patterns, especially familiar shapes, where none were intentionally placed. From seeing faces in clouds to interpreting mountain ranges as mythical creatures, humans are wired to find meaning in chaos. That wiring becomes especially sensitive when we look at aerial or satellite images. We search for symbols, signs, and recognizable forms in what are often random or utilitarian designs. The Kazakhstan pentagram isn't alone in this. Across the world, Google Earth has revealed strange symbols and shapes etched into deserts, forests, and even cities. Some are remnants of ancient civilizations. Others are the byproducts of agriculture, architecture, or military design. But all of them feed into the same question: why do we keep seeing these things? A solved mystery that still haunts. In the case of Lysakovska's giant pentagram, the mystery has largely been solved. It wasn't carved by cults or visited by beings from another world. It was a park, plain and simple. Yet the image remains deeply unsettling. Even knowing the backstory, it's hard to shake the initial reaction. The crispness of the lines, the remoteness of the location, and the cultural weight of the symbol combine to create an image that lingers. It's a perfect example of how something entirely explainable can still feel deeply strange. And it reminds us that the view from above often reveals more than just geography. It taps into our deepest instincts, fears, and curiosities. Secret 5, the ghost island of Hashima, Japan. A fortress adrift in silence, floating in the waters off the coast of Nagasaki, Japan, is a place that looks more like the setting of a dystopian film than a real-world location. Known officially as Hashima Island but more famously called Gunkanjima, meaning Battleship Island, for its distinct profile, this abandoned mining colony has become one of the most chillingly captivating places ever captured on Google Earth. When viewed from above, the image is startling. Crumbling high-rise buildings line narrow corridors. Courtyards are filled with debris. The island is only 15 acres in size, but it holds the hollowed-out shell of what once was a densely packed human hive. What makes Hashima's presence on Google Earth so eerie is the precision. You can clearly see shattered windows, exposed rooftops, and rooms that appear to be frozen mid-collapse. The urban decay is not hidden by trees or overgrowth, as in many ghost towns. It's exposed and stark, surrounded by water on all sides, as if nature itself is unsure how to reclaim it. The contrast between the vibrant blues of the sea and the ashen greys of the island gives the entire image a surreal, almost digital unreality. A city built on coal and shadows, Hashima Island rose to prominence in the late 19th century when undersea coal deposits were discovered in the surrounding seabed. The Mitsubishi Corporation began mining operations in 1890, turning the rocky outcrop into a bustling industrial community. At its peak in the 1950s, more than 5,000 people lived on the island, making it one of the most densely populated places on Earth. That density came with a price. Living conditions were harsh, and space was so limited that entire families shared tiny rooms in concrete apartment blocks that reached skyward in claustrophobic symmetry. The story of Hashima becomes darker during World War II. Historical records show that Korean and Chinese laborers were forcibly brought to the island and subjected to brutal working conditions in the mines beneath the sea. Many died due to accidents, malnutrition, and abuse. After the war, the island returned to normal operations but was forever marked by its wartime legacy. The coal began to dry up in the 1970s, and with the rise of petroleum as Japan's new energy source, Hashima's economic relevance collapsed almost overnight. In 1974, Mitsubishi officially closed the mine and evacuated the population. The island has remained untouched since, decaying into silence with every passing year. From ruin to UNESCO and the silver screen. Despite its grim history, Hashima Island has drawn international attention for its haunting aesthetic. In 2015, it was recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site as part of Japan's Industrial Revolution landmarks, though not without controversy due to its association with forced labor. The ruins, however, have inspired artists, historians, and filmmakers alike. The most mainstream exposure came in 2012, when Hashima was featured as the villain's hideout in the James Bond film Skyfall. Its eerie appearance was not digitally enhanced. The skeletal remains of the island city were real. That single appearance catapulted the location into pop culture, spurring renewed interest in its chilling legacy. A satellite view into the uncanny. When viewed on Google Earth, Hashima Island evokes what psychologists refer to as the uncanny valley. It's a place that looks almost too human yet disturbingly empty. The buildings are still standing. The rooms are still furnished in some places. But there's no movement, no life, just frozen decay. From the satellite perspective, it's like staring at a paused moment in human history. One that was abruptly silenced by shifting economics and never touched again. There are no visible people, no vehicles, no colors of daily life, just the fading footprints of a population that vanished. Hashima Island remains one of the most haunting places you can explore digitally. A monument to ambition, suffering, and collapse, it serves as a reminder that even entire cities can be swallowed by time. And sometimes, you don't need to go there to feel it. A few clicks on Google Earth are enough to send a shiver down your spine. Secret 4, the Lake of Skeletons, Rupkund, India. A graveyard in the Himalayas. Tucked high in the Indian Himalayas, nestled at an altitude of over 16,000 feet, lies a lake that defies explanation. It's called Rupkund, but the world knows it by a darker name, the Lake of Skeletons. During certain times of the year, when the ice melts and the water recedes, the outlines of hundreds of human skeletons become visible beneath the shallow, glacial surface. And thanks to satellite imaging and the growing resolution of Google Earth, this chilling spectacle has become a magnet for digital explorers seeking the world's most macabre secrets. Rupkund is not just another mountain lake. It is a mass grave, preserved by nature in bone-white clarity. From above, especially during the melting seasons of summer, the remains scatter across the lakebed like a silent congregation of the long-forgotten. Bones, some intact, others fragmented, rest at odd angles, eerily undisturbed by time or animal. For years, this site remained largely unknown to the outside world until satellite imagery and international media attention, particularly from National Geographic, pushed it into global awareness. A puzzle spanning centuries. For decades, the presence of the skeletons baffled researchers and triggered a wave of speculative theories. Who were these people? Why did they all die here, in such an isolated and inhospitable location? And perhaps most mysteriously, why did they die in groups, spread across different layers of sediment and time? DNA analysis conducted in recent years offered astonishing results. The bodies at Rupkund are not from a single group or even a single era. Genetic testing revealed at least 3 distinct genetic populations. One group had South Asian ancestry consistent with Indian communities from 1,000 years ago. Another, more recent group, carried genetic markers from the Eastern Mediterranean, possibly from ancient Greek or Crete-like origins. The third group's ancestry has yet to be fully understood. Radiocarbon dating placed their deaths anywhere from the 7th to the 10th century, and then another wave between the 17th and 19th centuries. This discovery upended earlier assumptions that the skeletons all came from a single catastrophic event. Instead, it pointed to Rupkund being a recurring death site across centuries, used either by accident, by tradition, or by design. Theories and tragedy. Several theories have attempted to explain this mass mortality. One suggests that Rupkund was a pilgrimage site, and that travelers were caught in sudden natural disasters. Another speculates the victims were part of a failed military expedition, sent through the treacherous mountain pass only to be crushed by landslides, cold, or altitude sickness. But the most accepted, and most eerie, explanation emerged from forensic analysis of the skulls themselves. Many of the skeletons bear identical fractures on the tops of their skulls. Not cuts, not bludgeon wounds, but blunt force trauma consistent with something falling directly from above. This led scientists to one of the most surreal explanations ever proposed: a deadly hailstorm. A storm so violent and so sudden that hailstones the size of cricket balls pummeled the unprotected travelers to death. With no shelter and nowhere to run, dozens may have perished in minutes. Whether this explanation accounts for all the skeletons remains debatable. But it underscores the deadly unpredictability of nature in high-altitude regions. Bones beneath the ice. From space, Rupkund appears calm and still. But those who know what lies beneath the surface can't help but shudder. During the melting season, the bones sometimes become visible even in satellite images. Slight shadows, stark white against the grey-blue of the glacial water, remind viewers of the human presence frozen beneath. This is not just a place of death, it's a place of unfinished stories. Rupkund is a graveyard frozen in time. A place where history, science, and myth collide in haunting silence. It draws the eyes of adventurers, scientists, and digital archaeologists alike, all searching for answers in a lake that offers only questions. And thanks to the ever-watchful gaze of Google Earth, it has become one of the most unsettling open secrets visible on the face of our Secret 3, the alien face in Antarctica. A glacial glare from the bottom of the world. In one of the coldest, most remote places on Earth, something is staring back. Deep within the icy expanse of Antarctica, in the Admiralty Mountains region of Victoria Land, satellite imagery captured something that immediately caused waves of speculation and wonder. Emerging from the rugged white terrain is what appears to be a massive human-like face, partially buried in the snow and ice. To those scrolling through Google Earth, it seemed as though something, or someone, had been frozen in place, watching the skies for thousands of years. This face isn't subtle. Its symmetry, the indentation of what appears to be eyes, the protrusion of a nose-like structure, and even the shadow that outlines a mouth, all give the impression of a sculpted figure, not a random chunk of rock or glacier. For many, it felt too precise to be natural. Some claimed it was an ancient statue, the remnant of a lost civilization buried beneath the Antarctic ice. Others suggested it was a marker, deliberately designed to be visible from space, a signal sent upward, waiting for someone to notice. A pattern known too well. The idea of a face hidden in a desolate landscape instantly echoed a much older and equally controversial satellite anomaly, the famous face on Mars. Discovered in the Cydonia region by NASA's Viking 1 orbiter in 1976, the Martian face captivated millions with its striking human features. Later high-resolution imaging would reveal it to be an ordinary mesa distorted by shadow and low-resolution pixels. But the power of the image lingered, and it seems to be playing out once again in the frozen corners of Earth. The Antarctic face carries that same energy. Whether a trick of light or an intentional formation, it hits a nerve in our brains, forcing us to look again and ask if nature is really that coincidental, or if something else is happening here. The resemblance is enough to spark imagination, and in the absence of an official explanation, the story continues to spiral. Pareidolia and the search for meaning. There is a well-documented psychological explanation for this phenomenon, and it has a name: pareidolia. It's the brain's tendency to recognize familiar patterns, especially faces, where none actually exist. This mental shortcut evolved for survival. Humans are hardwired to detect faces in any environment, from clouds to wood grain to lunar surfaces. It's why we see smiling potatoes and angry tree trunks. And it's why, when Google Earth shows us the blurry outline of something vaguely humanoid in Antarctica, we instinctively attribute meaning to it. Geologists analyzing the image propose that the face is the result of natural processes, wind erosion, glacial movement, and shadow interplay. They point out that the ice and rock in the region are subject to intense pressure shifts and fracturing, which can carve jagged, coincidental shapes into the terrain. Still, even knowing this doesn't reduce the eeriness. Seeing the face from above, its contours highlighted by light and shadow, is like stumbling across a warning etched into the earth itself. Statistics behind the illusion. The phenomenon isn't rare. NASA and Google Earth analysts have noted thousands of satellite anomalies that resemble human or animal faces. These range from faces in deserts to underwater coastlines that mimic eyes and noses when viewed from specific angles. In some cases, digital compression artifacts further enhance these illusions, tricking even trained researchers at first glance. But among all of them, the Antarctic face stands apart. Its size, placement, and clarity have made it one of the most viral discoveries on Google Earth. Even skeptics admit that it's unsettling. Not just because it looks like a face, but because of where it's located, a part of the world so inhospitable that almost no one has physically verified what the satellite sees. A cold stare we can't ignore. Or whether it's an alien signal, an ancient relic, or simply the latest victim of pareidolia, the face in Antarctica continues to haunt viewers. It's a stark reminder that even the most remote and barren landscapes can appear to whisper secrets when viewed from above. The longer you look, the more questions emerge. Who made it, if anyone? Why does it seem so deliberate? And what else might be hidden beneath the centuries of ice that still cover 98% of Antarctica? Sometimes, it's not about proving what's real. It's about what your brain refuses to unsee. Secret 2, the airplane graveyard in Arizona, or a field of forgotten wings. In the scorching desert of southern Arizona lies one of the most surreal spectacles ever captured by satellite. Just outside Tucson, a sprawling grid of steel, shadow, and silence stretches across the land. It is known officially as the 309th Aerospace Maintenance and Regeneration Group, or AMARG, but most people know it by its more evocative name, the Airplane Graveyard. When seen through Google Earth, this massive site transforms into something uncanny. Row after row of retired aircraft sit in perfect alignment, their wings casting long symmetrical shadows across the sun-baked ground. It doesn't look like a military base. It looks like a relic of a lost civilization, frozen in formation. From the sky, AMARG resembles a city of giants. Over 4,000 military aircraft are stored here, making it the largest aircraft storage and preservation facility in the world. Some are neatly preserved for future reuse. Others are slowly stripped for parts, their hollow fuselages standing like tombstones for technologies once considered state-of-the-art. The aerial view is haunting not because of decay, but because of the scale and precision. There's no chaos here, just eerie, intentional order. Cold War shadows and strategic silence. The origins of this graveyard trace back to the post-World War II era, when the United States faced the question of what to do with the thousands of aircraft produced for war. The dry climate of Arizona proved ideal for long-term preservation, as minimal humidity meant less corrosion. By the time the Cold War intensified, AMARG had grown into a key military asset. Jets, bombers, cargo planes, and reconnaissance craft began to accumulate, either waiting for reactivation or marked for disassembly. At its peak, AMARG stored more than 5,000 aircraft, valued in the tens of billions of dollars. Today, it spans over 2,600 acres of desert floor, an area so vast it is clearly visible from low-orbit satellites. Some of the aircraft date back to the 1950s, while others are relatively modern, phased out not because they're obsolete, but because their era has ended. Each plane tells a story of geopolitical shifts, technological milestones, and changing doctrines of warfare. This isn't just a storage site. It's a historical ledger written in steel and shadow. The psychology of precision decay. There is something deeply unsettling about AMARG that goes beyond its function. Rows of decommissioned war machines, all lined up like soldiers standing at eternal attention, evoke more than just history. They conjure feelings of abandonment, finality, and the slow retreat of empires. From above, the graveyard takes on a symbolic weight, the end of an age, the mechanical remnants of ideologies that once dominated global policy. Unlike traditional cemeteries, these aren't marked with names or dates. They are anonymous giants, their identities hidden beneath sand-blasted metal and aging paint. Their silence is total. And when viewed on Google Earth, where there's no sound or movement to dilute the impact, the stillness becomes even more profound. It's a psychological contradiction. These machines were once the epitome of power, speed, and human innovation. Now they are grounded, inactive, and exposed, monuments to impermanence. Eyes in the sky, and what they reveal. The visibility of AMARG through Google Earth raises important questions about transparency and security in the digital age. While the facility itself isn't classified, the fact that anyone, anywhere, can freely scan such a detailed military installation speaks to a shift in how the world observes itself. What was once the domain of spies and satellites is now accessible to students, historians, and casual explorers at the click of a button. Google Earth has turned AMARG into more than a military resource. It has made it a symbol, an open-air museum of Cold War ambition and peacetime pragmatism. Its precision is both awe-inspiring and chilling. Thousands of planes, no longer flying, continue to serve a silent purpose, reminding us that even the most powerful technologies are eventually grounded. In a world of rapid advancement, AMARG remains still. A graveyard of wings and engines. A testament to time, decay, and the quiet echo of what once soared. Secret 1. The clown mask figure in Nancy, France. a glitch or a gaze. In the quiet town of Nancy, France, nestled along the cobbled streets of a residential neighborhood, a figure appeared on Google Street View that would send ripples of fear across the internet. At first glance, it looked like a person simply caught in the camera's lens. But a closer inspection revealed something far more disturbing. Standing at the edge of a small alley, partially obscured by shadows and foliage, was a humanoid figure wearing what appeared to be a clown mask. Its posture was rigid. Its gaze was fixed directly at the Street View car. And its presence felt deliberate. The image was blurry, as many Street View captures are, but the outline was unmistakable. The mask had exaggerated features, a wide, painted mouth, hollowed eyes, and a frozen expression that felt anything but playful. The figure was standing still, hands at its side, as if waiting. Or watching. It wasn't the subject of the photo. It wasn't supposed to be there. And that's what made it terrifying. Viral terror in the digital age. Within hours of its discovery, the image went viral. Reddit threads lit up with speculation. YouTube channels known for paranormal content featured it in compilation videos. Theories ranged from innocent to deeply sinister. Some believed it was a prank, someone aware of the Street View schedule who had staged the moment for attention. Others thought it might be an art installation, designed to provoke unease. But there were darker suggestions too. Could it be someone stalking the neighborhood? Could it be a figure responsible for something unreported? The ambiguity only fueled the fear. The timing of its appearance couldn't have been worse, or better, depending on your perspective. The world had already seen a wave of clown-related panic in the years prior, from pranksters in the US donning clown suits to follow strangers, to real-world arrests of individuals using clown disguises for intimidation. This single image, appearing unannounced on one of the world's most widely used digital platforms, struck a chord of universal discomfort. Google eventually responded. The image, along with the figure, was removed during a scheduled update. But not before thousands of screenshots had been saved, shared, and immortalized across the web. Its deletion only intensified the unease. For many, it felt like evidence had been erased. Like a glitch in the system had exposed something we weren't supposed to see. Why clowns creep us out? The fear of clowns isn't new. It's so common it has a name: coulrophobia. In 2022, a psychological study conducted across multiple countries found that over 53% of surveyed individuals expressed discomfort or fear when faced with clown imagery. The reasons are varied: unnatural facial expressions, exaggerated features, and the uncanny tension between comedy and menace. Clowns are supposed to be joyful, yet their painted-on smiles often conceal something else. They become masks of emotional ambiguity, forcing the observer to question the intent behind the expression. When such imagery is removed from a controlled setting like a circus and dropped into a quiet suburban street, the result is a jarring disruption of reality. It's horror through contrast, something out of place that shouldn't exist in that context, especially not on a platform designed to reflect the real world in real time. What should and shouldn't be seen? The clown mask figure from Nancy sparked more than just fear. It ignited a debate about the limits of digital transparency. Should every image captured by Google's ever-watching eye be made public? At what point does curiosity cross the line into intrusion or exposure? And when something genuinely disturbing appears, who decides if the world should see it? Google Earth and Street View have democratized access to the world, allowing anyone to explore cities, landmarks, and hidden alleys from the safety of their screens. But with that access comes vulnerability. Sometimes, what's caught on camera isn't architecture or landscape, it's a moment. A presence. A stare that shouldn't be staring. Whether the clown in Nancy was a prank, a glitch, or something darker, it remains one of the most unforgettable and deeply unsettling images ever discovered on Google's platforms. And it forces us to ask a question more disturbing than the image itself. How many others like it are still out there, waiting to be found? A pattern hidden in plain sight. As we've journeyed across deserts, oceans, glaciers, and abandoned cities, a strange pattern begins to emerge. Whether it's a blood-red lake in Iraq, a face frozen in Antarctic ice, or a clown silently staring from a suburban street, these eerie discoveries share more than their locations. They echo themes of isolation, symbols lost to time, and human attempts to find meaning in the unknown. What links them isn't just geography. It's something deeper, a collective fascination with places the world forgot, or perhaps never fully understood to begin with. Google Earth has become more than a navigation tool. It's evolved into a digital window through which modern myth-making thrives. These satellite snapshots, often grainy or ambiguous, are the fuel for a new era of internet folklore, one where speculation often outweighs explanation. And maybe that's the point. For every theory grounded in science, there's a whisper of something beyond it. Our need to ask why may be stronger than our need to find answers. The map shows us where these mysteries are, but it's our imagination that decides what they mean. What we see may be real. Or it may be something we've always feared, reflected back at us from above. One planet, countless mysteries. From a blood-red lake in the heart of Iraq to a clown-faced figure frozen on a suburban street, we've explored 10 of the most chilling and mysterious places ever captured by Google Earth. Each location told a story, some ancient, some recent, all unsettling. We saw abandoned cities frozen in time, symbols etched into landscapes, faces staring back from ice, and graveyards filled with planes or bones. These aren't just strange sightings. They're invitations to ask questions, to look closer, and to never assume the map tells the full story. Now it's your turn. What's the creepiest thing you've ever seen on Google Earth? Have you stumbled across something bizarre, unexplained, or just plain eerie while scrolling through the digital globe? Share it in the comments. We're always watching, always curious. If this video sent chills down your spine, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more deep dives into the unexplained. The world is full of secrets, and we've only just scratched the surface. Next time, we'll take you even deeper, into unsolved ancient megastructures visible from space.